I am Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel. I want to invite you to watch my upcoming adventures on Deadites on Deck on YouTube.
Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel, the cutest rocking squirrel in the universe. He wears his hair long, he plays a mean guitar. After midnight he performs on a tree branch stage. He is brave, he is outrageous, he is Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel. He will steal your heart and eat all your pecans. He loves cuddling in his fleece when bedtime comes calling. Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel, the cutest rocking squirrel in the universe.
They're all messed up. Beyond recognition. Yeah, they're all messed up, skinned and alive, chainsaw ripped apart. I got five, all messed up, dead, yeah, dead, all messed up. Punctured eyes, blocked out, chopped up like firewood. Yeah, they're all messed up.
Hey gang, and welcome to another Slashtastic episode of They're All Messed Up. And tonight, here in a little bit, we're going to be talking about Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. What a title, folks. Directed by Sergio Martino, and Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll, directed by, sorry, I forgot who this one was directed by. Directed by Carlos Ared. I'm probably mispronouncing that all over the place. Your Vice is a Locked Room is from 1972, and Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll is from 1973. And we're going to get to the kills and talking a little bit about those films here in just a little bit. But I want to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way. Hopefully, I won't lose those of you that I have in here now before I get to the movies. So tomorrow night will be Evil Dead Chicks Slasher Fest. And this is going to be another fair warning. You will get another warning before Evil Dead Chicks Slasher Fest starts. So allow me to get a little bit serious here. There are slasher elements to the two films that I'm going to be talking about. I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left. These are the original films, folks. And I'm not kidding around here. These are rough. They are not for children. I would not advise you to have your children anywhere in the vicinity if you are watching these films. I wouldn't even suggest having your kids in the room, even if you're not watching them, if you are watching my stream, because these are basically assault and revenge films. Okay. And, you know, as I've said before in the past, when I've even dared to talk about these movies or movies like these, I've been told, Dana, you're going to get your channel taken down. Even some people going so far as to say they were offended by me even talking about the films, not, you know, not showing any clips from them or anything like that, just merely talking about them. So I'm not knocking anybody that's offended by these types of films, but if you are offended by them, I urge you not to attend this particular Evil Dead Chick Slasher Fest, okay? Because we are going to be talking about the films that are going to be discussed. So, you know, just fair warning. And again, there will be a video warning at the beginning of Evil Dead Chick Slasher Fest tomorrow night. And I hope that people won't say things like, "Oh, you're just wanting to, you're just wanting people to watch these. These aren't slasher films." Like I said, they do have slasher film elements, and I think that they fit the bill. However, before you get to those slasher film elements, you've got to have the assault part of it before it gets to the revenge. Okay, so again, fair warning on that. So that will be taking place at 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow evening. Actually, Last House on the Left will be the first film we watch. If you opt to just hang out and not watch the films, that is perfectly acceptable. Just know that the films will be discussed. Okay. So, we're going to be watching them back to back with an intermission basically in between, to allow you to, you know, get a refresher on your beverage of choice or a snack or whatever you may choose to do with that time. Okay. And it's usually about 5 or 10 minutes between the two movies. Okay. So, no watch alongs this weekend. However, there is still a poll up. Cujo, alligator, and grizzly are the choices. The last time I checked, Cujo was in the lead. I can check again. Well, actually, there's a tie now between Cujo and alligator. So make sure you get in there, and so I don't have to do the tiebreaker. I do still have the favorite rock and roll horror film of all time poll up. Trick or Treat is now up to 80%. Black Roses is at 5%, and Rocktober Blood is at 15%. Terror on Tour has no votes. There have been 20 votes on that, and 13 votes on the movie poll for Saturday, September 20th. Okay. All right. For those of you that didn't get to see my What's New at Dead Eyes on Deck Horror Shop stream last night, it is up on the channel. So you can, you know, feel free to watch that if you want to. Unfortunately, I realized later that once I showed the animations of Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel and Poe, it told me I was still sharing my screen of my shop, but it wasn't showing up on the screen. So I fully apologize for that. But you are welcome to visit deadicesondeck.com to take a look at all of the things that I discussed last night. I also have all 4 of the videos up for the Pick Your Poison taste test, where I tasted each one of the 4 flavors of the Angry Orchard Thriller Pack. We had Blood Orange, Berry Bewitched, Headless Pumpkin, and last night was Sinful Apple. So if you want to check those out and see what I thought of all 4 of those flavors, feel free to check those out. Plus all the other fun programming that I've got up on the channel. All right. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about these two films. Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key, directed by Sergio Martino, that came out in 1972. Okay, folks, I've said this before. I'll say it again, and it's still true for me. I am not a fan of Sergio Martino's films. Why? Because personally, I think his films are too sleazy. I'm not against nudity, the sex scene here and there, but he's got women pulling off their clothes and going topless, uh, you know, lesbian action, heterosexual action. He's got it all. And that's just not, sorry, that's just not my cup of tea. And every one of his films that I've watched have been that way. And he was fully entitled to make any kind of film that he wanted, but I don't have to watch them. But for you guys, I needed to rewatch this one, and apparently I've seen it not that long ago, probably with Steve, because I remembered most of it when I was rewatching it tonight. So, and I lost two people when I was talking about I thought Sergio Martino was too sleazy. Some people might think Argento's too sleazy or Fulci or whatever, but they those two guys, especially Argento, I feel like Argento was well rounded. I mean, some of his movies might be a little more sleazy than others, but I thought there was a good balance. Every Sergio Martino film I've seen, it's like he replicated the same formula over and over again. And people were probably like, well, gee, Dana, aren't slasher films basically cut from the same cloth? Well, yeah, they are. But, I would like to think that any director would want to make films for all people to watch, instead of, mainly the male population watching. Okay. I'm not a prude. I'm not against nudity. I'm not against the occasional sex scene. But when it's gratuitous, then it's something that I don't care to watch. Right. So let's get to well, I can give you a little bit of the plot of this. This is basically, it's loosely based, folks, loosely based on a couple of Edgar Allan Poe stories. And mostly the Black Cat is referenced in terms of this film. But there is a little bit of the Cask of Amontillado in there too. And for those of you that have read Edgar Allan Poe, you will fully understand that when you watch Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. Okay. This was also Edwidge Fenech. This was her first bad girl role. Okay. And Steve likes her with longer hair, of course. He loves him some Edwidge. But she does have short hair, and I have heard him mention that, I like her with longer hair. But so she gets naked a lot in it. Very young Edwidge Fenech in this. Anita Strindberg is also in this, playing the long-suffering wife of Luigi Pistilli from Bay of Blood. He plays a writer, Olivero, who likes having these orgy parties. He likes humiliating his wife during these parties. He has a mommy fixation. There's all kinds of things wrong with Olivero. Hey, Gory Tiger. So, yeah, his wife does not like his brand of decadence, the way he humiliates her. And you can pretty much almost guarantee that he's going to meet a suitable end for such a terrible, terrible character in the film, and I mean personality wise. Um, it's been described as one of the most sensual films from the golden era of the Giallo. And I really don't care if it's sensual or not. You could have taken all that sensual stuff and stuffed it right down the garbage disposal. I would have been fine with a more straight ahead Giallo. But that's not Martino's way, right? So, and a lot of people like Sergio Martino films. Okay. So I'm going to stop raking the guy over the coals, you know. And we're going to go ahead and get to the kills in this. So we have a total of 8 deaths in this. So we got a woman's throat that's slit, woman's torso sliced open. One thing I will say about Martino, for all this gratuitous sexual activity and sleaziness, he does have good kills in his films. He does have good kills in his films. A woman's is slashed in the chest. A man is bludgeoned. A man killed in a motorcycle crash, and a woman also killed in a motorcycle crash. A man pushed off a cliff, and a man walled up in a wine cellar. Okay, so I'll go ahead and give a rating for Your Vice is a Locked Room. I'm going to give it about three and a half deadites out of 5. Again, imagine that half, folks. I know one of these days I'm going to have the half deadite. I promise. But I would give it higher, but as I said, I'm not that into the sleaze. So, and this is very sleaze heavy, as was one of Martino's other films, Torso, which I also don't like, and I've tried watching multiple times. We've got boring characters, and in addition to sleaze and women taking off their clothes every 5 seconds and stuff like that. Just not for me. But I'm going to give it the 3.5 deadites out of 5, mainly for the kills in this and the atmosphere. I like that gothic type of atmosphere in this film. So I will give Martino those 2 things. All right. So the next one, and I was going to show y'all. This is Steve's copy. It's the Arrow release of Your Vice is a Locked Room. I do have a physical copy I can show. It's not mine. I have a DVD copy. I never thought I needed to upgrade or anything. And since Steve has a Blu-ray, hey, it's all well and good. But I don't have a physical copy of the next film I wanted to talk about, which is The Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll, aka House of Psychotic Women. I don't really know why it's called House of Psychotic Women. I really don't. Steve told me it was probably just a matter of they wanted to give it a kind of, I guess, intriguing title for American audiences, maybe. This does have Paul Naschy in it. You guys and gals have heard me talk about Paul Naschy in the past. I'm not a fan of Paul Naschy either. Paul Naschy is just greasy, sleazy guy in most of the films he's in. I know he has since passed away, and Steve said that I should have more respect for Paul Naschy. But I think God rest the guy's soul. I hope he went on to a better place. But most of the movies he was in, he had something to do with them. So guess what? He allowed himself to get naked with the many, many women that were in the films with him. I'm like, okay, well, whatever, dude. So he's, getting it on with plenty of women in this movie. But I was never really sure. He's supposed to be a criminal, and he comes to this small little village or town or whatever you want to call it. And he keeps having visions and having nightmares of strangling this blonde woman. And so you're not really ever sure, or I wasn't ever really sure. Um, did he do it or did he not do it? Right. So he comes into town and he's looking for a job, and everybody says, "Nah, I don't know. You might have to go somewhere else to find a job." And he ends up coming upon, or the women comes up on him while riding in her car, and she takes him back to her family's house where she lives with her two sisters, Yvette and Nicole. And Yvette is in a wheelchair, and the doctor keeps saying, the doctor that comes by and checks up on them, and all that. And apparently, I think he may have his office in their big house or whatever, or maybe not. I wasn't ever really sure. So apparently, his daughter, who was a blonde woman with blue eyes, had died. And he keeps a picture of her on his desk. But he pretty much takes care of Nicole, who Nicole must be a nympho, because she just goes around. She is an attractive redhead, but she goes around trying to seduce every man that comes within 2 feet of her, including the doctor, who's old. She starts wanting to take her clothes off, and she ends up, getting it on with Paul Naschy, of course. Her sister that met him near the beginning of the film ends up getting it on with him, and the I guess she's the oldest sister. She's got a problem with her hand and arm is all scarred up, and she keeps something over it. Paul Naschy comes to her and says, "You're beautiful," and all la 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 la. And I'm like, whatever, dude. He's pretty much like this in every film. He just kind of duplicated his role all over the place. But then a series of killings starts after Paul Naschy hits this little town and starts staying at the house with the 3 women. And the killer basically slashes people, or slashes blonde-haired, blue-eyed women, primarily, and cuts their eyes out, and you see them putting them in a jar. So I don't want to give it all away, because you might want to watch this if you haven't watched it. It is available on Tubi. So if you want to watch it for free, I'm not sure if your device is a locked room and only I have the key. You might want to search the usual suspects, including Tubi and YouTube and all that. But Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll is available on Tubi, and it appears to be a high definition copy of it. Okay, so let's talk about the kills in this. We have a total of 8 kills in this film as well, from 1973. Like I said, directed by Carlos Red. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but we have a woman chopped in the back with a cleaver. The kills are pretty good in this one too. A woman's throat cut with a cleaver. A woman stabbed with a gardening tool. A man stabbed to death. A woman's throat slit with a knife. A man shot to death. A woman's neck, believe it or not, a woman's neck crushed by a wheelchair. And a woman stabbed to death. Another woman stabbed to death. Okay. So this one was just okay. I mean, it still had a fair amount of nudity and sex. Wasn't as sleazy as Martino's film, Your Vice is Locked Room and Only I Have the Key. But it still wasn't really up to caliber to some of the other films that I've talked about during this series. So I'm gonna have to give Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll also 3.5 deadites out of 5, folks. Not horrible, unwatchable films by any stretch of the imagination, just not really the quality that I like in my slasher film. And people are probably thinking, what the heck are you talking about? Quality in your slasher film? Well, yeah, there are better slasher films, better Giallo films than these two that I'm talking about. And I will let you know when I come across them. Now, am I telling you not to watch them? Oh, heck no. I say, if you want to try these on for size and see how you like them, by all means. My purpose by getting on here and talking badly, or maybe putting down certain films for certain aspects of them, is not meant to deter you from watching them. It's just a kind of a warning, maybe, or it's just my viewpoints on it. Everybody's not going to like everything the same, right? All right, so I guess that is all for me, or from me, for this episode of They're All Messed Up. If you so desire, please join me for Evil Dead Chicks Slasher Fest tomorrow night, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, a warning. We are going to be watching and discussing Last House on the Left and I Spit on Your Grave. These are the originals, folks. They do have elements of a slasher film, but they are assault and revenge films. So please don't have your underage children in there. Even if you're not watching the films, I would advise against it, folks, because we are going to be discussing them. And these films in no way, shape, or form are suitable for children. I'll just be upfront about that. There will be another warning before Evil Dead Chicks Slasher Fest gets started tomorrow night. But I want to actually have people in there. I'm not trying to drive people away. I'm just merely trying to warn people, And if you're sensitive to this type of subject matter and you don't like to hear people talking about it, then I would advise you not to attend. Okay? So, with all that being said, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday night, folks. Tomorrow's Friday. I hope everybody is getting the weekend off. And be sure to blast some Aussie if you so desire, and live life the Aussie way. And by that I mean, as always, don't live in the past, push forward in the present into the future, and don't ever give up on your dreams. I love each and every one of you guys and gals, and I'll see everybody next time.